I would. Let me see now. Think of one. Whenever Mr. Dressup wears a cowboy hat, a cowboy hat, a cowboy hat. Whenever Mr. Dressup wears a cowboy hat, I will sing a song for him. Oh, I will sing a song. It needn't be too long. Mr. Dressup has a cowboy hat. Oh, I will sing a song. It needn't be too long. Mr. Dressup has a cowboy hat.
What kind of a hat?
I thought it was a cowboy hat.
Doesn't seem to be. It seems to me to be a different kind of hat.
What kind of a hat would you call that?
I call it a bowler hat.
A bowler hat.
Yes, bowler hat.
Well, maybe I can sing a song about that.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Mr. Dressup wears a bowler hat, a bowler hat, a bowler hat. Whenever Mr. Dressup wears a bowler hat, I will sing a song for him. Oh, I will sing a song. It needn't be too long. Whenever he's a bowler hat. Oh, I will sing a song. It needn't be too long. Whenever he's a bowler hat. So that's. That's
Hey, it's Christopher, and welcome back to Watching, Winning, and Wrecking. Kansas City in the books, home of the Royals, championship Chiefs 2 years ago. Had Andy Reid on pit road, interviewing Chris Myers, and asked him all the same lame questions you'd expect a novice. Well, he treated Reid as he was a novice to NASCAR, but I think he a little bit smartened up before he was at the track. So he was there. Two great coach and a great broadcaster in Myers from Fox. They cover some of the games throughout the season, mostly Arizona Cardinals. But Kyle Busch wins, first win of the year. 2021, 10 different winners in 11 races, and Busch leads 26 laps at this event. Had a good car late in the race. Wasn't a huge factor early on, but it's what happens. You got to lead them when they count, right? That's not how you start. It's how you finish. We've all heard that proverb, and it's never more so true this year in the Cup Series. In the 17th year that he has won at least one race consecutive, and Richard Petty has the record of 18 consecutive years. You kind of figure he's going to tie that and surpass that. It just seems like one of those records that is going to be obliterated by the almighty Kyle Busch. And slow down a little bit. Just give me a sec. I got to take a drink of Monster Energy here. That is very good. Very sweet. 10th in points. He's gradually working his way up. I know the 18 team has had their issues this year. They've looked non-existent at time on the track, and I guess they're just figuring out things. But 58th career win now ties him with Kevin Harvick in the race for 60. And I really thought with Harvick winning 9 last year and how great Harvick's been since he's been the driver of the Scherhaus four car, that he would have gotten to 60 by now. And now it's a dead heat between the two who will get the 61st. I know Dale Sr. is at 76. That's starting to look a lot more safer than it was a few years back. So he's 18 wins away from tying Dale Sr. on the all-time wins list. 18 wins is a lot of wins in a short period of time. You know, Kyle's still it was his birthday, as he wins on his birthday, I think, for the second time in his career. I forgot to mention that. And then I was reminded about 50 million times during the broadcast that it is Kyle Busch's birthday. I think he had turned, 36 years old? 36. So you figure he's going to race early 40s, maybe. It's lots of time to reach that plateau, but 18 wins at this rate, the way this team going, could be a bit of a challenge. So 3 top 5s in 2021 for the 18 car. Fairly inconsistent seasons we talked about. First top 5 since Atlanta in March, and crew chief Ben Beshore, first career win as a Cup crew chief, big one for him. 4 wins in Xfinity Series with Busch in 2019, and this is now JGR's 189th Cup win. They will can they reach 200 in the year 2021? Most definitely going to do that in 2022, but unless these the drivers go on hell of a streak. That'd be Kyle Busch and Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's got to win, man. He's got to feel like the odd man out, which he is at this point. And outside looking in, Busch took the lead with 2 laps remaining, held off the field by 0.336 seconds. Wins at Kansas for the second time in his career. And the name of this race was the Bushy McBush 400. So Kyle in his winner circle interview had made light of that, and it's only fitting a Busch would win a race with Busch in the title. This is what Busch had to say at the start-finish line as he pulled out of his 18 M&M's mixed Camry. It's hard sometimes. When you go through the lows, you go through the disappointments, you go through the decision and you go through directions and the non-understanding of just whatever or what not you can still do. There's some doubt that sets in. You just have to keep persevering, keep digging, and putting your focus forward to be able to come out here and win this thing. As we said, this is his second Kansas win in the spring race, and it was kind of lame. Some fan was out there booing, and you could hear it over the... It's quite obvious, the Fox broadcast and the pit road interviewer, Jamie Little, tried to do their best to mask that out, but you could still hear the boos, and it's kind of getting old. I know Kyle Busch is somewhat of a heel, somewhat of a villain, and people just love to hate him, but I think you got to put that aside. And when I read the NASCAR report here, what the said about Kyle Busch and his win at Kansas. So let me pull that up here. Our friends at Instagram and the NASCAR reports, a staple here that on this podcast I like to read what the masses are saying. Here we go. Bringing it up. And it's titled Birthday Boy. It's kind of silly, is it not? So Diesel's purple bandana. Big Daddy Cool's purple bandana. People will say it's rigged, like they always do. It's okay. So the Jason Vader says the Diesel. The guy who drove the Busch car got second, and the winner's last name is Busch. There's a reason to say it's rigged, but it's probably not. I think it's just coincidence, right? Let's call it that. The TRD Cup Series says to Jason, OMG, just stop your fucking bitching and already go cry to your mom. Not social media. Okay, that is really immature and lame. He's not bitching. They're just pointing out it's uncanny that a driver by the last name of Busch wins the race. And every time Kyle Busch does win a race, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists who think he didn't deserve to win or he should never win again. So Diesel purple bandana back to TRD Cup Series. Yo, my guy, I know you aren't talking to me, but he did say it's probably not rigged. Yes, get the context. It wasn't rigged. And then Jason Vetter to Diesel, thanks for defending me. And then Jason Vetter back to TRD Cup. LOL, I'm not assuming you think I'm a Kyle hater. I did say I didn't think it was rigged. And then TRD back to Jason. Yeah, I misread that. My bad, LOL. And Upside Down Motorsports, so appropriate that and coincidental that he ended the drought on his birthday and the Bushy McBush race. LOL. I'm proud of him. And here's the replies to this. NASCAR fan at 99 to Upside Down Motorsports. Wasn't a huge drought. Only been 12 races since. He didn't spell it SINCE. He spelled it sense, like sense, like a year ago. Oh my god. Since the Texas win. And Upside Down Motorsports back to NASCAR fan. Yeah, true. I guess it had felt longer since that was last year, and he had a longer spell without win prior to that. So I was stuck in that mindset. LOL. Stop LOLing people. You're not laughing out loud, for Christ's sakes, at any of that stuff. The official Ian Perez, who we've heard from before, you love to see it, all capitalized, and the clapping emoji. Alonso 2112, if anyone can do the math, what is his next birthday? Will he race that day? I don't think anybody really cares. 12ANQ to Alonso. Well, the next time, May 2nd, is going to be on a weekend, is 2027 on a Sunday. So he'll have this opportunity maybe in 6 years to win when he's 42. And then 121ANQ to Alonso. Assuming, of course, NASCAR doesn't go back to midweek racing. Why should it? Are you predicting another pandemic? Are you predicting something else is going to shatter the earth and alter the NASCAR schedule? Clairvoyant? Foreshadowing? You tell me. G-Men 2121. When will he retire? And then G-Men 122 NASCAR Pro Official. Burr nothing. Bra nothing. Whatever bra means. And then Dylan Culpepper, no relation to Dante. When Kyle leaves NASCAR, there will be no villain to root against. And it will be a snooze fest. So you want to boo the villains and the heels, but you're going to miss them when they're gone. I think that's the gist of that. And then Marnie P66 says, and this is so fucking stupid, why did they use an old race photo? Hello, if you watch NASCAR, it is. And so appropriately, JR Pace 87 to this dumb twat, Throwback Week. Something that Darlington does every year. And you call yourself a NASCAR fan. Come on. And then the same dumb twat there, Marina P66 to JR Pace 87. IDK. There we go. We have to go back to our acronyms. We're not intelligent enough to write out the actual fucking word to put this all together in context. I'm assuming that one wasn't also a birthday win. Well, you assumed wrong. And then we have XX Slim Tater. These handles, I mean, they're original. I'll give them that. Kyle had a whole emotional moment, and you're going to sit here and hate him? Question marks. And then Rowdy Busch 180. 3 goat emojis. Then Ewan 555. He's giving the regurgitating emojis. And then we have X Slim Tater. Yeah, damn right. So let's put an end to that. We'll move on to the second place finisher. But then that's all it is. I mean, Busch gets a bad rap, but I think, is there a finer driver on the circuit? Him and Harvick, to me, are the two most pure race car drivers out there today. And they're never going to reach the heights of the Richard Pettys or the David Pearsons on the wins list. I think those records are pretty safe. Jeff Gordon, as good as he was, and in dominant fashion at times, only got to 93. Yeah, I'm not saying that won't happen here with Kyle, but it's just some of the struggles he endured last year and a couple other seasons he had that weren't as glamorous, I think, that really set him back. And I think reaching that plateau of 93 is going to be a tough task. Like Jimmy Johnson was stalled at 83 for the longest time and couldn't quite get there. So on to the second place finisher, Harvick. Good finish for him. He's now 8th in points. 4 top 5 of 2021 and a second consecutive top 5 finish. Kind of brought back his old moniker, the closer, there for good reason. Just sort of came up out of nowhere. Took some tires on a late pit stop. Had nothing to lose. The cautions come out, the 2 cautions there, and that just played into his favor. That was just all he needed to get up front, and I think it was a good move, and nice to see Harvick almost steal one there from Mr. Busch, and has the momentum swung in Harvick's favor. 9 wins a year ago. And the race for 60, well, has this really... did he use everything up last year or the year before? all those sensational years consecutively, has time finally caught up with Harvick? You know, when most people would think when you win 9 races, you should win the championship. Again, this flawed point system, or this brilliant point system, whatever you want to call it, doesn't always lead to the driver with the most wins with the trophy here. And Harvick did get the win in 2014, was declared the champion, and Newman wasn't very far behind. A guy had no wins at the time. So is this system flawed? I'm not really sure one way or the other. So they got a lot of momentum, and I know this team is real. Much has been made about the struggles at Stewart-Haas Racing, and he's just been the rock for this team. He's been solid, and he's in contention for the win most weeks, and that's saying something for him. But I think the direction this season, or the complexion of this race, depends on what he will do in the summer months, because it looks like at this point you're 11 races in, you have 10 different winners. 12 races now, excuse me. So you have 10 different winners in 12 attempts. Hamlin's going to get in by virtue of being the regular season champion at this rate. He's had a little bit of bad luck in the last couple of weeks, but still really in good positioning to maintain that throughout the summer months. And I'm not saying Harvick's going to have to win to get in, but I think you've come to expect that he's going to win, and I think he's going to heat up. And Darlington's a good racetrack for him. Just could have silenced everyone in a few days from now. Brad Keselowski, 3rd place finish for him. 2nd consecutive top 5 finish, 6th in the points, leads 72 laps here. Other than that, a fairly uneventful race, but was up front for the most part. And Matt DiBenedetto, 4th place, best finish of 2021. And this is the first time in his career that Matty D's had 2 consecutive top 5 finishes. So in a long career that he's had, seems like he hasn't been around that long, but he has. He's been around since the last decade, toward the tail end of the 2000s. Pardon me, another drink. Now 16th on the points. 8 consecutive top 20 finish. The beloved underdog is coming on strong when it counts, and is fighting for a spot in the playoffs, and it's going to be on that cut line. But I think he's not only fighting for a spot for this team in the playoffs, he's looking for a ride in 2022. We all know it's well documented, but 3 consecutive top 10 finishes out of those finishes, that of 8 in the top 20. It just seems like there's a foreshadowing that his win is going to be coming real soon. And then the famous quote last week, that, you know, our day will come. And it just seemed like it's serendipitous that he's going to be the driver that's going to get the Wood Brothers their 100th win in the Cup Series. And it'd be only fitting at Darlington, let's say, if you have him on your sort of long shot list, your underdog list. Why not? I mean, Wood Brothers, deep rooted history in NASCAR. Darlington, one of the oldest tracks on the circuit, seems kind of fitting. Maybe everyone would say that's rigged. Maybe if that happens, it's, you know, all the conspiracy theorists can get their foil hats out and think that the alien invasion is coming because everything is such a conspiracy. Beware of the NWO, you know. Give me a break. Chase Elliott, 5th place finish, 2nd top 5 in the last 4 races. Took tires on the final caution, nothing to lose. 7th in the standings. Had a shot at the win there, but just, again, it just feels like Chase, in the vein of his teammate Alex Bowman, is so inconsistent that he can't be trusted. And you could say the same for Kyle Larson lately. All these great runs, but you can't complete. Again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You can't complete the whole entire race. And I think that's because of the stages now. The stage racing is a lot different. Where if this was the old format, maybe there wouldn't be so many cautions, so many drivers that just are getting overly aggressive. And Martin Truex Jr., A sixth place finish. Third top 10 in the last 4 races. He is second in the points. Had a run in the final restart. Was visible, and I know had he won 3, was going to put him in some pretty good shape once the playoffs began in September. Tyler Reddick, 7th place finish. 4th top 10 in the last 5 races. 18th in the points now, making a good run at the last playoff spot. And could be one of those drivers that is in the title picture once these points tighten up and is doing everything right. And the RCR cars are very fast at this point. Big improvement for them. And it's nice to see, again, having a lot of luck here. And Chris Buescher, 8th place finish. Second top 10 of 2021. Led 13 laps. Was trying to gamble there on pit strategy. I think the caution came out. Much was made of that caution. Very controversial because and Clint Boyer said it, and he was dead on what it is. Hit the nail right on the head here in the commentary, and said that it's peculiar that NASCAR didn't call a caution because in previous races, previous years, that was a caution. Tire gets loose on pit road, finds its way into the grass. Why did they wait? And this essentially is what cost Buescher even a better finish. Not only could have had the win, maybe, but I'm not going to go as far as that, but a better win. So he gambles on the pit strategy only to be screwed later as they call the caution. And he's going to be one of those drivers, I said, that's on the cut line all year. It'd be good for Roush Fenway to make the playoffs. I know this team hasn't had a lot to smile about in the last few years. It's been extremely difficult for this team. Once dominant team, powerhouse team in the Cup Series has sort of taken a step backwards once the departures of Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth came about. It's a team really just kind of maintaining their position. They haven't really set the series on fire in a while. But Chris Buescher here is just, I think now that his deal's up at the end of the year. Whether he comes back here or not, I think at this point is arbitrary. And I think it's the fact that if he's looking futuristic, what a better way to attract the potential team and have some interest in your driving abilities once you can show that you have a chance to win. You can bring this team that has been pretty lackluster into the playoff picture. I think that's what's really been the issue for Roush Fenway Racing, is just finding that consistency. So the uncontrolled tire rolled out in pit road and into infield grass towards the last green flag pit cycle of the race. And then NASCAR waited 15 to 20 laps for the pit cycle to complete, and then the caution for the tire. It was left a lot of people confused, really. And I think they should have just not thrown it at all and just let the race go on. Why was it thrown immediately? I don't know. It's up for debate. This can be debated for years to come. And I'm not sure, if anyone's safety was going to be impacted in any of this, or was there any danger to not throw it? Again, you can just have your opinion. What do you think? I don't know. I just think in previous years, that's an automatic caution. The tire didn't find its way onto the apron of the track. There was no real immediate danger, but the fact is, it just seems like NASCAR can flip the rule book whenever they feel it's appropriate to, whenever they feel that they can. Again, it impacted this driver's race. Chris Buescher could have maybe had a top 5 finish instead of a top 10. Maybe could have found himself in the winner's circle. I just think I think that's where the rig theories come in from people that think Kyle Busch doesn't need help from cautions to win races. He's a pretty talented driver. William Byron, 9th place finish here. The streak was in jeopardy. I was getting a bit nervous watching. Amanda likes to watch the races with me, and I said, Byron's streak is in severe jeopardy here. He was outside of the top 10 on that final run of green flag pit stops. The caution came out. I think that really helped him. 9th consecutive top 10 finish. He's now 3rd in the standings. He's definitely the best Hendrick driver this season. I think, you have Larson with the win. You have Bowman, but he's been the most consistent of the Hendrick bunch, and it's just really good to see this, and I think he is going to win some more races. He's running really strong, and some awful news about his mother this week. I think his mother is battling brain tumor of some sorts, and it's it's pretty sad for him. It's not the best news you want to hear, but he was open and candid about that on his social media pages, and hopefully it all works out for William Byron and his family, because this is a really exciting race car driver, and you never want to see anyone's parents, these race drivers, we don't know them personally, but we come to have a strong connection to them by watching them on the racetrack each and every week, and I feel really horrible to hear such awful news and a really awful time in society and all that's going on, and it's never easy, but I mean, in this time that we live in, it just makes it a lot worse. And Austin Dillon here, top 10 finish, 4 top 10 finish in the last 6 races, 11th in the standings, second consecutive week that both RCR teams are in the top 10, so they're doing something right. And Austin Dillon, as you know, is going to be a driver to watch. I'll say it. I know we're going to talk about it later in our 5 drivers to watch this week, but here's a guy who just knows how to win races that are eventful, and he won the Coca-Cola 600 and the Daytona 500. This is not the Southern 500, so that would have given him 3 crown jewel wins, but can't help but to think winning at Darlington and all the rich history with the number 3 car and RCR in general, it's a really cool place to win. I posted something on Instagram for fun, a picture of Willie Nelson, Dale Earnhardt, and Richard Childress, and it was promoting the Wrangler sponsorship at the time when Earnhardt ran the blue and yellow Wrangler colors, and it's got a lot of interest online. I think there's a lot of fans of classic NASCAR, so I think that's why anytime Darlington pulls out the throwback paint schemes and the throwback week, it's just very favorable, and a lot of people just, I guess, like to reminisce about the nostalgia factor that these race cars, when they're under the, it would be cooler if it was under the lights, I think, but there's still that interest in the past and some of the history that the sport, and it's well respected by the fan base in 2021. And Daniel Suarez, 11th place finish for him, 6th top 20th finish of 2021, and the Trackhouse team is performing, and I said it very well for a new team. They're outperforming 23-11 most weeks, and 22nd in the points. I know he's a long shot from making this playoff, and I know it's expectations. They're meeting the expectations, I think, of a first-year team, but Suarez is a driver, I think, that give him another year, this team to gel and add a little bit more resources, that it could be a team that's contending for wins each and every week like they did at the Bristol dirt race. Denny Hamlin, 12th place finish here, remains the points leader. Hits the wall on the final 20 laps of the race, battling hard with Larson for the win. What was going to be assumed at that point, the race for the win. The winless streak for the 11 team continues, unfortunately, and he's the last of the Joe Gibbs cars not to win in 2021, and 2 consecutive weeks of just disappointments. Leads 7 laps here, and the winless streak, I think, I don't know if it's really bothering Denny that he's the last driver to not win in the organization, but you feel like he's going to win one of these sooner than later. And you have Darlington coming up, the Charlotte's coming up, a good racetrack for him. Dover, not so much, but I know he has a lot of success at Darlington. Him and Harvick are tied for 3 wins apiece, so that's all-time. That is the record all-time. Not all-time, but that's the record currently for active drivers. That's what I meant to say here. I'm just tripping over myself here today. It's that kind of day, I guess, Thursday. Long week. It's nice out. The sun's shining, though, in Ontario and Ottawa, the capital of Canada, so that's pretty cool. And 13 degrees. I got to wear a really cool Bo Jackson t-shirt today that Amanda bought me from Homage. Homage is a really cool website if you haven't been there. It sells retro clothing, nice t-shirt, graphic t-shirts if you're into those. I recommend Homage as a place to, great destination for some nostalgia if you're into the nostalgia fame. And everyone knows Bo knows, right? Bo Jackson, one of the best two-sport athletes, I think, to ever play in the MLB or in NFL. It's unfortunate that hip injury cost him his football career. And what could he have done in Kansas City with the Royals? And then I know he went on to play with the White Sox later. But a huge fan of Bo Jackson. Nonetheless, the man, I got to pretty sweet Seattle Mariner t-shirt. Reminds you of the Ken Griffey Jr. days, Randy Johnson. That team of destiny in 95. Wasn't that a story when the kingdom's falling apart? The Mariners looked like they were falling apart. Baseball, future looked murky in Seattle, and they went on that incredible run. Took the almighty Yankees down, but fell to the Indians in the end. And yes, it's the Cleveland Indians, people. I'm coming from a First Nations person. It's okay to call it the Cleveland Indians. It's a team that's rooted in history. But those are cool. Anyway, I digress here. But I just wanted to give a nice shout out to Amanda and for buying these really cool shirts from Homage. Michael McDowell, 13th place finish. This is his ties a career best here at Kansas. He was 13th in the spring of 2017 while he was driving for Levine Family Racing. So Michael McDowell, I know a lot's been made about this team's going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to get chewed up in the first round. Won't make it past the first round. But he has made the most of this opportunity. And I think, as you all know, Front Row Motorsports kind of runs on yearly contracts. There's no long-term deals that are signed. They typically don't do that. I know they would like to get McDowell back in this car next year. But he could be in line for another ride that, a cut above this one. And that's not to say that Front Row Motorsports isn't a really quality team, because they are. They've been around a long time. They've got themselves some wins, albeit on play tracks. But McDowell has earned this. He started off, with Michael Waltrip Racing, a rookie, only famous for that wicked qualifying wreck at Texas, and ran for some starting park teams. Was patient, ran with Levine Family. Was booted from that ride in favor of Matt DiBenedetto, and then he found Casey Kane, actually, I think it was first he was booted out in favor of. Sorry to get the timelines a bit confused there, but I watched so much of this and have so much stats in my head that they tend to run together sometime. But McDowell, who knows? Colleagues coming into the sport, JR Motorsports, juniors teams, hinted that they might enter the ranks of Cup racing in. Who knows where Michael McDowell could end up, but having a really good year. And Joe Logano, 17th place finish. Not much of a factor. Said in the race report prior to the start of the event that he was battling food poisoning, not feeling the greatest. He gambled late on the race for track possession on pitting there, but it wasn't really a factor to win. Second week for tough luck for this team. He took that wild ride at Talladega, and that clip's going to be infamous. It's going to be shown for years to come once they show gnarly racing accidents at Talladega. Everyone remembers the Keselowski Carl Edwards one in 2009. I must have seen that footage 1,000 times. And Stage 2 winner Kyle Larson leads 132 laps, and you got to feel awful for him. He should have 3 wins this year. Atlanta, that should have been his too. Stage 2 winner. Looked to be on his way to another victory to tie Truex Jr. for the most wins in the season, but on this day, has that tough, brushes the wall there with Denny Hamlin. On the restart, gets a little aggressive, gets behind Ryan Blaney, and both days are wrecked. He finishes 19th, 9th in the points, and this is just awful. For 2 consecutive weeks, he had the engine failure at Talladega, so much in the vein of Logano had a really tough couple of weeks, and this is what Larson had to say after the race. I was back to 3rd and planning on pushing Blaney as good as I could, and obviously I pushed too hard and got him loose and crashed both of us back into the wall. I was just trying to help him stay side by side with the 18 on the restart to allow myself to have some sort of opportunity, but I just pushed too hard. That's really the first time I was behind someone on a restart. I learned for next time, and he will have another opportunity to do just that and win some more races. And I think Kyle Larson is going to have a lot of success in this car, not only this season, but going into 22 and 23, however long he wants to race here with Hendrick. And Ryan Blaney, as we mentioned here, 21st place finish, 5th in the points. Could easily have 2 to 3 wins, but the last 5 races, just piss poor luck has cost him, and he sits there, still 5th in the standings after a pretty slow start. Ryan Blaney kind of evened things out. Stole one from Larson there at Atlanta, as you can remember. And the feud of the race. Get the boxing gloves out. Ding, ding, ding. Alex Bowman versus Bubba Wallace. You know, everyone had that confrontation on pit road last year. Bubba was not too happy with Alex Bowman. Looked dehydrated, just in a bad way. Sitting in his car, medical personnel attending him. Bubba comes up and splashes him with water in the face. You know, kind of a dick move, you tell me. Shouldn't kick a man when he's down. You know, throw water in the face of a man who's down. But Wallace here got into Bowman, causing major damage to the 48 car. And just, again, poor luck for Bowman this season. If he's not up front contending for wins or winning, he's usually finding himself on the other side of a bad wreck. But the contact caused Bowman to hit the pit road, and the driver needed to change his tires after being struck by Wallace. And NASCAR fans got really heated on social media about this. Not too happy about Alex Bowman getting shortchanged by Bubba here. And Hamlin apparently wasn't happy about it. You know, Denny Hamlin made the comment that he's sort of losing his patience here with the 2311 team. Not living up to expectations. Feels like they have to improve their performance if Bubba Wallace wants to remain in this car next year and beyond that. And he was a bit upset that he's not that much of a team player with the other Toyotas. Getting himself caught into really tough spots like this where you're just not seeing the good finishes. But here's Justin Dykstra here on Twitter said, once again, in someone else's mess for at Alex Bowman. It's actually unbelievable. Thanks at Bubba Wallace. You're awful. And the another fan here, Tim Frazier says, highlight. Said 2019 incident. Highlighted the 2019 incident with Bowman and Bubba. Should at Alex Bowman go throw water at Bubba Wallace's face after the race? Question mark. Wait, he's better than that. Well, it was a foolish move, I think. Bubba Wallace tends to get a little heated at times. I know he's had issues with Denny Hamlin. Remember back at the Daytona 500 a few years ago. So the guy he's actually driving for, they've had some tense times as well. And this other person here, Mr. Hudson 8818, says, thanks Bubba at Bubba Wallace. You no talent having POS. I think that stands for piece of shit. And then the acronyms. You get more characters on Twitter now, so you gotta exercise. You know, express yourself. Exercise that anger. You don't have to use acronyms. A lap down, taking out a lead lap car. Great job, buddy. I hope they show this in your Netflix series. So, now Bubba's draws a lot of nuclear heat from the fan base. Either you love this guy, or you don't like this guy. And Wallace finished 26th, one lap off the pace. He's 21st in the points. And we said Denny Hamlin's recently talked about how this team was 30 points out of a playoff position, and that he wants this team to make good on that stage win that he had earlier this year. Make good on running in the top 5, top 10. Finish where you kind of, again, in this case, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You got to make those opportunities and turn them into something. And Bubba has yet to do that. His best finish of the season is 16th 3 times. Phoenix, Atlanta, and Martinsville. And Bowman finished on the lead lap, in case you were interested. He finished 18th on the lead lap. But again, it's just... And that's not to say Bubba is inexperienced. He's had a lot of time in these cars. He's been with Richard Petty Motorsports for a few seasons. He should know to take care of the cars and just be a little more patient. You're starting to see a little improvement, but this team is going to have a lot of work to do over the next 4 months into the fall. I don't think they'll be a playoff team. I predicted they would be at the start of the season. At this rate, you're 21st. You're going to hover around that cut line, but again, you're going to have to need a win to maybe get in, and I just don't think this 2311 team is in that category yet of becoming a contending team week by week. And the disappointment of the race comes from Christopher Bell as it's not Bell himself, his performance, spins on lap 258, taking out both JTG Doherty cars in one wreck, just takes them both out. Stenhouse is relegated to a 34th place finish. fallen to 18th in the points, and his top 10 streak ended last week at Talladega. He was 33rd in that race, so just a couple rough weeks for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And this is another driver that is going to have to rely on places like Daytona if he wants to get into the playoffs in late August. But the car was on fire. It's a bit smoke show in that car. Luckily, Stenhouse was fine. Ryan Preece, 32nd, also gets caught up in that wreck. Car was a mess. He tried to do a few laps around. NASCAR would not allow that, as the spoiler on that car was up in the air. Was not going to be approved to go out on the track like that in case a piece of debris came off that car and hit another car. So 23rd in the points, second time in the last 4 races he's crashed and has ended the team's day. And not good for a team that is still in search of sponsorship to run the entire season. So a really expensive day for JTG Doherty Racing. Tad DeSchechter and Brad Doherty should send the bill to Christopher Bell. He took out both our cars. Like, what the fuck? Just not a good day for JTG Doherty. So let's read what they had to say on the NASCAR report for a rough day for JTG Doherty. NASCAR Insights as punishment for that 47 throwback scheme. I think the 47 throwback scheme looks pretty cool, so shut your mouth. USS Chunky River 69, says the NASCAR Insight. True. And the NASCAR Fan 2000, Brad Doherty is about to egg Christopher Bell's house. And Andrew Wella Police. Damn, I feel bad for them. They're a really good race team this year. And Fletch Bone says maybe it's karma for the bullshit lame-ass throwback schemes they made. Oh, come on. It's not their decision. It's not the driver's fault that, I don't think they're that bad. NASCAR Pro Series official says the Fletch Bone scheme for Stenhouse, you mean? Priest is, question mark. Priest is good. And then NASCAR Pro Series official Fletch Bone, yeah, that 74 tied one is shit. And then underfunded updates. Christopher Bell, a.k.a. JTG Doherty, Racing Assassin. And then cost low to underfund Daniel Suarez. No context there. Jeff Gordon, pick every day. How's he go from 16th to 19th? Format is stupid, and they both don't deserve good ride. Ricky has 2 runner-up finishes and 1.5 seasons with Roush Fenway. He had 2 as well. Give the man a ride. As I'm reading that like an imbecile, because this is written by an imbecile, because it is so unconcise and so unclear that it's garbage. And I will say that you are a fucking piece of shit. Tony, that Chi 23, tough day for JTG Doherty. Fuck Logano. What a handle. Fuck Logano, eh? Is that, do you want to fuck Logano, or you're saying fuck it, Logano? This definitely isn't helping their funding issue, so I'll take a little break from that. I'm sorry for the Jeff Gordon fan. I just totally went off on you for no reason. Your post is garbage, but there's no need to mimic an imbecile, and it was wrong. So there. The Truck Series, so Kyle Busch, the Truck Series ran this weekend as well. So Kyle Busch collects his second win of 2021, 5th consecutive for Kyle Busch Motorsports, and the 61st win for him in the trucks. And in 4 of his races this year in 2021, he's finished no worse than second, no surprise. And this is Kyle Busch's Motorsports' 85th win in the trucks, inching so close to that 100 mark real soon. And Busch won the 2 stages here and had to work from behind here, rally for he was 4th place on the final restart, and the final overtime restart, 3 wide for the lead, and ultimately led the final 12 laps by 0.665 over Ross Chastain. 59 laps led, and the truck battled some issues. Kyle thought there was some issues with the truck at some point in the race, and he comes away the winner. So he's either has a really good poker face, or he just knew that he is Kyle Busch, and he is one of the greatest truck drivers of all time, the greatest truck driver of all time. And point leader, John Hunter Nemechek, teammate of Kyle Busch, finishes 5th. his fifth top 5 finish of 2021, and he led 16 laps in this race. And only one finish outside the top 10 in 2021. It was 39 at the Bristol Dirt Race. So John Hunter Nemechek sitting pretty here in the Truck Series. And Ross Chastain finishes second for Nice Motorsports in his return. He ran one race for them already this year. And that's really the team that elevated his career was Nice Motorsports. Led him to getting the ride with Colleague and Xfinity. Leads 6 laps here. Top 10 in both of his truck starts in 2021. And had a really good truck this week and ran up front with this all weekend. So I don't know if he's going to do any more races for Nice this year, but good accounting for Ross Chastain. He didn't have a bad run in the Cup race either. He was sort of on that final restart. He had a lot of screen time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The 42 car had a lot of screen time this week on Fox, and you could see his car in view on the final restart. So he had a shot at it. A Austin Hill, 3rd place finish, 4th consecutive top 10 finish, top 5 in 3 of the last 5 races, and Christian X, 4th place, finishes 11th here. 11th, career top 5 finish in 38 starts, and all 3 starts in 2021, he's inside of the top 10 for the 2019 ARCA champion. You got to be looking at this kid if you're one of the truck teams that is looking toward the future. This guy makes the most of his opportunities, so a good finish for him. And Todd Gilliland, he gets himself a 6th place finish here, and a 3rd consecutive top 10 finish, and he remains 8th in the points. And 7th for Zane Smith, 4th top 10 finish in last 5 races, 7th in the point standings for him. And Rafael Lessard, 8th place finish. This is his final race for Maury Gallagher. His best finish in 7 races was 3rd at the Bristol Dirt, and he was released from this team following this race. He's 13th in the standings, and sponsorship issues related to the COVID-19 pandemic is what's cited as the reason that he is removed from this car and will focus on returning in 2022. Ryan Reed is set to take Lessard's place at GMS, and Lessard, in 35 career Truck Series races, has 1 win. That was the win for Kyle Busch Motorsports last fall at Talladega. 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s, and was released in favor of John Hunter Nemechek at KBM Motorsports for 2021. Again, driver coming in with a little more credentials in the Truck Series from the past. We've all seen John Hunter Nemechek have a really good Cup season last year as a rookie for Front Row. Another drink, pardon me. And Lessard really, in the end, has a great upside, but you have an opportunity to contend for a championship with John Hunter, and Lessard's time is going to come. I'm a bit shocked by this. I think this team looked like it was trending in the right direction, and I know funding is cited as a source, but I'm not sure I can believe all of that. But Ryan Reed's going to return to NASCAR at Richmond and drove 2 races for CMI Motorsports, and that team's a steaming pile of shit. 29th at Richmond, 40th at Kansas, and Reed he brings sponsorship with him. He's had that. That's what kept him in an Xfinity series so long with Roush Fenway, is he brings a sponsorship package with him. So ran Xfinity series from Roush Fenway Racing from 2014 to 2018. 2 wins at Daytona, 15 and 17. Came really close to making that 3 consecutive wins. No, excuse me, 3 wins, not consecutively, in the Xfinity series at Daytona. For some reason, he just ran really well up there. I think Lessard has a greater upside at 20. Reed is 27. Brings that lack, but the lack of experience, I think, is what, if you look on paper, what maybe cost Lessard this, but he's done better than Reed, I think. Reed hasn't done a lot other than the 2 wins, and he had a Cup start and handful of Xfinity starts, but really nothing happening for him. So this is a very interesting decision, and let's read what the NASCAR report had to say about Lessard being released from this team. Let's see if we have the news release here. Here it is. This is Ryan Reed returning to GMS. And Chase Elliott DI9. When you go from a shitbox truck to the 49 to the best team in the Truck Series. And then we have Dove's Burner to Elliott. KBM is better. And then 20 JFG to Chase Elliott. DI. Best team in the Truck Series that doesn't even have a win. Question mark and laughing emoji. NASCAR Fan 99 to Chase Elliott. DI. Maybe. He spelled maybe, folks. MABY. ThorSport and KPM are pretty even with them. And then Chase Elliott to Dove's Burner. IK. I know. Chase Elliott DI to 20 JFG. LMFAOOO. Laugh your fucking ass off, I think. Anyway, silly shit. Laugh until you cry emojis. Well, they usually are only behind KBM and ThorSport. And then Chase Elliott to 20 JFG to Chase Elliott. True. And he has the laughing emoji. And then Anthony Leach 24, smart choice. And then we have here the floodgates will open. 16 replies to this one. And Jack Callahan 02 to Dailers 19. Why not? And NASCAR Fan 99 to Dailers 19. He's a pretty good driver. Ran decent and won a couple of races in Xfinity for Roush. And then Dove's Burner says to Jack Callahan, he hasn't been in a competitive ride for years. And then Jack to Dove and question mark. And then Monster Toe to Jack Callahan 02. His best Xfinity season had 10 top 10s in 33 races. And then Uncharted Gamer 42 says to Mr. Leach, wrong. All he did was crash. Wow. And then Jack Callahan to Monster Toe. Dude, give him a chance, bro. Come on. And then Monster Toe to Jack Callahan. He had his chance for 5 full years in Xfinity. And the most top 5s he ever got in a season was 2. And then Jack Callahan to Monster Toe. He's done a lot more with diabetes and is still very good. And then Monster Toe to Jack Callahan. In 2005, his only top 10 was the season opener. LOL. So you see the back and forth. There's much made. Ryan Reed wasn't the most successful driver. And I think he was there with Roush Fenway. As we know, the team has gone through a bit of a transition. So I think he was there primarily because he brought a pretty reputable sponsorship program with him. And I think that sometimes outweighs a driver's ability. Unfortunately, in sport where the sponsors, they're the ones who write the checks. And they dictate sometime who they want behind the wheel of the car, whether that's for better or worse. Again, it's all about dollars and cents. We've learned this for years now in NASCAR. It's not always about talent. It's about who has the largest checkbook. And Johnny Sauter, 9th place finish for him. 3rd top 10 in the last 4 races. And Ben Rhodes, top 10 finish. 10th. It's 6 times in 2021 he's been in the top 10. Only 1 finish outside of the top 10 in 2021. And that's a 16 at Atlanta. Remains second in the points. Could be John Hunter Nemechek's closest rival when it comes time to crown the champion. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet here. And career best for Hailie Deegan at Kansas. 13th place finish at the site of her first career truck race last fall. And this is only her 8th career start, so give a lot of credit to Hailie Deegan. I know she's not set the truck series on fire like everyone maybe thought she was going to do. Had a really good ARCA career, good K&N, but again, it's all about seat time, and this is a different venture for her, and I think she's going to do really well in the sport, but it's really nice to see Hailie Deegan with her career best at Kansas, so sort of only fitting she'd do it at the racetrack where she made her first career start. And some unfortunate, sad news to report this week in NASCAR that Eric McClure has passed away unexpectedly on Sunday. This is from a family statement. The family of Eric Wayne McClure, former NASCAR driver, announces with great sorrow his passing on Sunday, May the 2nd of 2021. They would like to thank everyone for their prayers and support during these difficult times. And McClure is the nephew of former team owner Larry McClure, the famous Morgan McClure racing team. The number 4 Kodak car won Daytona 500s with Ernie Irvan. And Sterling Marlin, back-to-back, 93 and 94. So a lot of rich history, and he made 3 Cup starts from 2004 to 2006. His best finish was 26th at the spring event in Talladega in 2004, and 288 Xfinity starts. His bulk of his career was spent in the Xfinity Series, so 2003 to 2016. A best finish of 8th at Daytona, in February of 2013. He was driving for Mark Smith in that race, that famous hefty 14 car. So sad to hear of the demise of Eric McClure, and that's unfortunate. And you can just send well wishes to his friends and his family and his legion of fans that were out there. Again, wasn't the biggest name on the track, but anyway, when someone loses their life, it's still never easy, and it's tough. Tough when you hear these things. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will return to the Xfinity Series, and on a lighter note, yes, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will return to the Xfinity Series at Richmond. Never forget, that was the vow made by Americans following the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, and JR Motorsports and longtime partner Unilever are standing united in that promise. In a May 4th video released by Unilever, and JR Motorsports revealed that Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2021 return to the number 8 Chevrolet, so throwback to the 8 car when he drove for DEI, a famous Budweiser 8, and then later the 88 with Hendrick Motorsports, will come in the Xfinity Series event at Richmond Raceway on September 11th, marking the 20th anniversary of the terror attacks, while the NASCAR Hall of Famer will drive a special United for America paint scheme honoring the victims of the 9/11 tragedy. This is what Dale Jr. had to say. He said, here's what he said. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years since that terrible day. The spirit of unity and forgiveness and togetherness our country felt on September 11th, 2001. Just as relevant now as it was then, I'm honored to be driving this car and championing Unilever's United for America program, end quote. And this race will mark the former 2-time Xfinity Series champion's 143rd race in the series. In that time, he's got 24 wins, 70 top 5s, and 94 top 10s. And his last career win came, ironically, at Richmond in the spring of 2016. And he was, in the fall of 2018, finished 4th there. And the 8 car has already been in the winner's circle this year with Josh Berry. It's always popular when Earnhardt gets into a car, and he's always a chance that he can be up front contending for the win. And remember last time, if you want to go back into the record books, take a rewind, get your VHS race car out there, rewind back to 2001. The first race after the 9/11 tragedy at Dover. It's only fitting. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the winner of that race, a nice Budweiser American paint scheme, and he had a volleyball that he named Wilson at the time, very popular from the Tom Hanks movie Castaway, and much was made about the Wilson volleyball, and could have been some good marketing for DEI at the time, and he could win. He won at Richmond 2016. So this is what the NASCAR report had to say about Dale Jr. making his return to the Xfinity Series. Let's bring that up. Nick Blake 7 was hoping for Nashville or Martinsville, but I'll take it. Always glad to see him back in the car. Yes. And Dooves Burner is here on this trend as well to Nick Blake. He said on his podcast that he wants to run Martinsville next. And then Elliott Nation 9, DEI. Okay, well, yeah, he drove there. Yeah, I don't know what point you're making there. Jack, the sports fan 81. I like Dale Jr. He's a good driver. Well, thanks for that info. I didn't know that. Now my day's complete. You know what? Dale Jr., he's a really good driver. And Eli Key 49, damn, he will probably win if it's at Richmond. And then we have next Nathan Nichols, again, DEI. Yes, he drove for DEI. USS Chunky River 69. I'm so glad he's running a scheme to honor the victims of one of America's darkest days. And then he proceeds to pump out 5 American flag emojis. So much of this is all, in favor of him. James _ B123. I know he has his own team in NXS, so I called it almost nationwide there. That's what it used to be called, Xfinity. But I wouldn't give to see him run Cup again at Adega or even Bristol with the dirt on it. No, maybe. Never say never, right? But I think Dale Jr. is pretty happy with his podcasts and Dirty Mo Radio, Dirty Mo Media. Doesn't need to race Cup, but he is good for at least one Xfinity race a year. And sticking with Xfinity news, Shane Wilson will return as the crew chief for Ryan Sieg, excuse me. It's a long day for me. Let's get another drink there. Thank you. So beginning this weekend at Darlington, Ryan Sieg will have a familiar voice in his ear. That'll be Shane Wilson. Wilson most recently served as Tanner Gray's crew chief in the Truck Series for David Gilliland's team, and Wilson worked with Sieg in 2019, and the team finished 11th with 2 top 5 finishes and 12 top 10s. And Wilson has 17 career wins in the Xfinity Series and won the championship with Kevin Harvick in 2006. And Sieg, this team, the underdog team that everybody really roots for, and Brandon Brown has put Brandon Brown in that category too. The 2 underdogs that everybody just loves to see do well here. Made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, but going into this weekend's race at Darlington, the team is 60 points below the cut line, 17th in the standings, and the team is fresh off its best finish of the season, a 5th at Talladega. So hopefully the Ryan Sieg can make up that ground, maybe get himself an upset win. I know he's won on the road course. And he can have an opportunity maybe to do that again. And I know he probably will have to win to get in, but putting together a good string of finishes, I think it's a little easier to make up ground in the Xfinity Series. And it's not quite as competitive as Cup, but nonetheless, it's been a really fun series to watch this year. And another news, Eric Darnell will return to the Truck Series this weekend at Darlington. The 2-time series winner, 2007 at Kansas, 2008 at Michigan, with Roush Fenway Racing, both times. And Darnell will make his first Truck Series start since 2008, and a career best finish for him was 4th in the standings. He has 9 Cup starts from 2009 to 10 for Hall of Fame Racing, Dusty Whitney at the Start and Park team, and 52 Xfinity starts with Curtis Key and Jack Roush. And he'll have longtime sponsor that he had with Roush Fenway Racing, Northern Tool Equipment. And this is the second time in the last 2 years where Nice Motorsports has called on a former Roush Fenway castaway to drive one of their trucks. Trevor Bain ran last fall for them and did pretty well. I think he, I don't know, I was a bit shocked that maybe he wasn't offered that opportunity. And that's what. Let's see what the NASCAR report has to say about this. Anthony Leach 24. That's a name I've never heard in a very long time. And then TPOLS Z76. Who's next? Question mark. Kelly Byers in the 24. Question mark. Crazy. And then Zach Chadwick 12. Bet to T-Poles. And the official Ian Perez says to T-Pole 76. Bet. And again, what's with the bet? And then Juice 9_5 also bet. And then Jeff Gordon, pick every day. Here he is again. Didn't he race for Roush in the trucks a long time ago? Question mark. Oh my God, this is. I don't get if this guy is being sarcastic or he's just ill-informed fan or whatever. But and then the Alaskan Bullworm replies to Jeff Gordon, pick fan every day, 2006 to 2008. And Matthew Nielsen, damn, NASCAR 08 legend. And then the flame emoji. And, my God, this is... keep going on here, but you kind of get the drift here. It's kind of out to left field. No one was expecting to see Eric Darnell. Neither was I. But I know Nice has had a lot of interesting driver choices the last couple of years. So we'll see what transpires there. So on to Darlington. It's throwback weekend. Going to see a lot of the paint schemes in all three series that shape the present from the past in NASCAR. And I think the McDonald scheme Ross Chastain's running, pretty similar to the Hut Strickland scheme in '93. I think that's one of the ones that caught my eye. I know Ty Gibbs in Xfinity is going to be running a paint scheme fairly similar to the one Dale Jarrett and Bobby Labonte ran in their years at Joe Gibbs Racing. So those will be fun to see. But the 5 drivers to watch, onto that. 3-time Darlington winner, Kevin Harvick. 8 top 5s in the last 9 Darlington races. That included 3 wins in the spring of 2014. That was the Southern 500, and 20 spring of last year, and the fall of 20. So the 2-time Southern 500 winner. Team is coming off 2 consecutive top 5 finishes. Lots of momentum on their side. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see Harvick in the winner's circle, taking his rightful place in the playoffs. And Kyle Larson, 5 top 10 finishes and 6 Darlington starts. Second in 2019 Southern 500. 3rd top 5 in the last 3 top 5s, in the last 4 races. 1 win this season, and he has led 500 laps at Darlington, and that was in the last 5 races. So knows how to get up front. A lot of history with Hendrick. It's going to be a really strong car for them. They've run really well with the 5 car. Good to see that. And Eric Jones, and I'm not just piggybacking off the fact that he won the iRace last night. Look at the stats. Prepare to have your mind blown. He's never finished outside the top 10 in 6 career Darlington starts. He won the 2019 Southern 500. Of course, all those stats are with Joe Gibbs Racing. But he has enough talent to keep this RPM team, I think, competitive in this race. And 4 of the 6 races are top 5 finishes. Quite a good record for Eric Jones. 20 years since the 43 car had a top 10 at Darlington. It's pretty brutal. March 2001. And Jones is driving, ironically enough. I like the irony. It just seems like the foreshadowing. It's just clearly on display here. He's driving a paint scheme fairly similar to one that John Andretti ran in the year 2000. And I know another driver who will be honoring Andretti this year who passed away from cancer a couple years ago. Quinn Huff will be driving the car that looks similar to the RCA Cale Yarborough car that Andretti won his first career win. Celebrated at Daytona in the, I think it was it still the Pepsi 400 back then? I know it was the Firecracker 400 at Daytona in July. So that's pretty cool to see. I really think you're going to see a lot out of Jones in this race, and he's outrun. I'm not going to read the NASCAR report. I think you've had enough of that for today. But I've made this point in conversation. Amanda listens to me a lot about this stuff. I think she kind of likes NASCAR. I think she's become a fan. But sometimes I like to talk about this stuff on the drive home, and he's outrun Bubba Wallace in this RPM car. Like, what anything Wallace has done, Jones has looked really good this year. Much made of the 2311 team. I know we could write a book about how well that team was supposed to perform to what they actually are doing on the track, but it's really cool. I'm really enjoying what Eric Jones is doing with RPM, and if there's any driver that can get the 43 back in the top 10 at Darlington, it's got to be Eric Jones. I don't know. Keep your eye on him. He might be my pick to win this whole thing. Denny Hamlin, 3-time Darlington winner. As you know, he is tied with Harvick for active drivers for most wins at Darlington. His wins came in spring of 2010, the fall of 2017, so Southern 500, and spring of 2020. There's 3 races, 2 consecutive in the spring last year at Darlington. He's tied with Harvick, as we said. And he's still in search of win number 1 in 2021. 9 career top 5 finishes for him at Darlington. And 3 of those are runner-up finishes. So is it Denny's number? Will the number 11 be the car to outlast the other 38 competitors at Darlington. We'll have to wait and see. But a good racetrack for Hamlin nonetheless. And Austin Dillon, as I said, the RCR cars are running really well lately. 2 consecutive weeks, both cars are in the top 10. Austin Dillon was second in the 2020 Southern 500 and was fourth in 2017. And as I said, he's two of his 3 career wins. He's won 2 of the 4 Crown Jewel races. I know this is not the Southern 500, but a win here is still pretty spectacular. I know there's a lot of people who still have a lot of admiration for the number 3 car. And great memories of Dale Earnhardt, as you can see from that Instagram post with Willie Nelson and Richard Childress. A lot of people still dig the Intimidator, and even when he was in his yellow and blue colors. So that's going to be, I'm going to wave the checkered flag on this episode of Watching Winning Wrecking. I'm going to wish you all a very good evening, very nice weekend, and I hope you enjoy the truck races and the Xfinity races and the Cup race, and we'll be back to talk about them next week here. And next week we'll be preparing for Dover, Delaware. That is going to be an interesting... Actually, no, are we at Dover, Delaware this week? So we're at... Yes, Dover, Delaware will be next weekend. So that will be on the 16th, that race. And then after that, we have Austin, Texas, the road course. So first is the Coke 600, and then Austin, Texas, the road course. And then we're on to another road course at Sonoma. So some really good racetracks coming up. Some ovals, road courses. Dover kind of plays out a little bit like an intermediate track, but still has a lot of short track tendencies. So should be, it's always a good race there. I think seeing Dover back in the month of May is good. I think the schedule was really messed up last year, and it's kind of races were all over the place. And I just like to see maybe a different winner. I don't know. Who knows? I would like to see Eric Jones win this race. I think that's who I'll be rooting for on Sunday afternoon. And if you celebrate Mother's Day, I think Mother's Day is every day, but I hope you have a nice one. And I'm not a big commercial holiday guy. I think you should honor and love your parents every single day that they're around, because you never know when it is the final act for all of us here on planet Earth. And just be grateful for everything you have and to do the best you have anytime you're out there. And it's just a really gratifying feeling to feel whole when you do something good, and try to do good deeds for others too when you can. There's nothing wrong with that. And like these race car drivers, be a champion, but be also a champion in life. And I think that's a good message for today. And Star Wars Day was this week. Baby Yoda, as everyone knows, I'm a huge Baby Yoda fan and enthusiast of the little guy. So I think hope everyone had a nice Star Wars Day. I didn't see a lot of activity online about that this year. It was a lot of Baby Yoda hats last year, and New Era's made some really cool Baby Yoda hats, which I have in my collection. And it's got some pretty cool T-shirts on the market. So Baby Yoda is I hope he's a NASCAR fan. I know who would Baby Yoda root for if he was a NASCAR? No, who would be his favorite driver? Maybe Kyle Busch, or maybe Baby Yoda would be a Bubba Wallace guy. I don't know who you. I don't know. I'd be interested to know who Baby Yoda would be a fan of. But anyway, that is going to do it for me. It's Christopher. Hey, it's Christopher on Instagram, and you can follow this podcast at Watching Winning Wrecking. We have an Instagram page as well. And also another endeavor I'm getting involved in, hopefully you'll listen to, if you listen to this pod, is a movie podcast with my partner Amanda. We're huge movies enthusiasts, and we're going to be launching that sometime this month. Keep your eyes and ears out for that, and it should be a fun one. Date night at the movies. The first movie we're going to be covering is Speed, and Amanda's a huge fan of the movie. I think it's okay. Not not my favorite, but I thought it's still significant enough all these years later. It aged well, holds up. So I think maybe you should give that podcast a chance when you have an opportunity. And I hope everyone, as I said, has a pleasant week and weekend. And until next time on Watching and Wrecking, I will see you.